looking in the mirror. Do I look good? I got my extra bands on. I got my other shoes on. We need more dogs.
And welcome back to another episode of the Shaving Points podcast. We only have the short form going this week. Jay couldn't make it, but I'm here to talk through all the spreads with you guys. Starting off, game that's actually live right now because we were delayed to Thursday recording this. San Francisco at LA Rams. I avoided this one. Number's too big. I took the Rams plus 3.5 live. Just now we'll see how that goes, but we won't waste much time on that one. Moving on, we are talking about Minnesota Vikings against the Cleveland Browns overseas, over in London, I believe it is. Browns are 3.5-point dogs, a tiny 35.5-point total on this one. Browns are starting the rookie quarterback. They're starting Dylan Gabriel this week. Interesting timing, to say the least, where you're putting him against a tough Minnesota defense overseas. It's just kind of a weird time to decide this, but I have to think that Kevin Stefanski is going to get some interesting stuff going with their run game out of this, with read options and stuff like that might play to their favor fairly well. So I'm probably going to sprinkle the Cleveland money line here. I'm not going to put much on it, but just a sprinkle for that rookie quarterback first start and see what he's going to bring. Some different aspects to the offense than Joe Flacco does, and you got Carson Wentz for Minnesota starting. I think that Minnesota O-line is fairly banged up right now. I know Brian O'Neill is going to be a question whether he's playing or not. I think Cleveland's defense might be able to eat in that situation. So just a sprinkle on Cleveland there for me. Moving on, we have the Houston Texans going to Baltimore. Baltimore are home dogs here, 1.5-point dogs, total of 40.5 points. It's assumed there's no Lamar Jackson in this game. The Ravens' run defense has been pretty decimated by injuries as well, in their defensive tackle room. And they're dealing with a few other injuries, but I think some of those are kind of up in the air still as to whether they'll play or not, like a Nate Wiggins, I believe, and a few other players. I do think Baltimore could surprise in this spot. Now, their backup quarterback is Cooper Rush. He's done some stuff in this league. Like he's come in as a backup and won some games before. It's going to be a completely different aspect. Like it's going to change Baltimore's offense significantly and not have a runner like Lamar out there. So I'm staying away from this one against a really, really good Houston defense. One thing that's going to be interesting to watch in this one, though, Houston can't run the football. Baltimore can't stop the run right now. One of those two things is going to change on Sunday. I'm just not sure which way this one's going to go. I do trust John Harbaugh as a home dog to get his guys up and ready to go, but I can't in good faith bet this one. Moving on to the New York Giants at the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are 1.5-point favorites here, 41.5-point total. Because the Saints are favorites, I'm going to bet the Giants money line. I mean, these are two teams who I don't think are like, if you want to put them in power rankings, right? These are like two of the bottom, 7 teams in the NFL, 10 teams in the NFL, something like that. If the line was the other way, I'd probably bet New Orleans money line here. Like I'm just going to go on the dog on this one because I think there's a good chance of it hitting for plus money because they're two pretty evenly stacked teams in my mind. I actually like the New York Giants a little more than I like New Orleans here. So give me the New York Giants money line on that one. And after that, we have the Miami Dolphins going to Carolina. And so with this one, this is tough, right? Because Carolina was really tough at home 2 weeks ago. But last week they got destroyed by New England. I don't know what Miami has going for them right now. Like they just won a game pretty convincingly against the Jets, but they lost Tyreek Hill in that game. I'm still not sure how much they can stop the run. Like Carolina, they have shown the ability to run the ball in the past at times, and they've always been a tough team at home. The model likes Carolina here, it's plus 1.5. Because that line shifted on me. So that should be Carolina plus 1.5 for the model. But I'm going to stay away from this one just because I feel like any given week, you don't know what you're going to get from this Carolina team. And any given week, you don't really know what you're going to get from this Miami team. So I'm going to avoid it. I think Miami can beat them. But like I said, I'm not sure what to expect from Carolina week in, week out. So I'm going to stay away. Next up, we have the Las Vegas Raiders going to Indianapolis. Colts are 6.5-point favorites here, 47.5-point total. The model likes Indy to cover the number, and the model likes the over 47.5 here. I think I kind of like the over here as well. Yeah, screw it. Give me the over 47.5 in this one as well. We're just doing it live right now. So I think the Raiders are a tough team. Like I know that their record's not good right now. I think they're 1-3. But man, they played their asses off last week against the Bears, and I think that they are a team. A Pete Carroll team is never one that I want to bet against that much. So like I'm leaning towards the Raiders to cover the 6.5 here, but ultimately I'm going to stay away from the spread. Just take that total over 47.5. Moving on, we have the Denver Broncos going to Philadelphia. Philadelphia are 4.5-point favorites here, total of 43.5. Philadelphia just keeps finding ways to win football games. I think that they've had a few games now where I'm like, one or two plays goes a little differently. I think that they lose that game. And that makes me think that game is coming for them. But ultimately, I'm taking the Broncos spread here instead of money line because I do think I have a hard time seeing Bo Nix go into Philadelphia and beat a Vic Fangio defense. But I do think that Philly has a knack for keeping these games closer than they should be. And I have a hard time seeing them win by that much more than a field goal. You think back 2 weeks ago, they wouldn't have won by more than a field goal if they didn't return the block kick all the way. That was kind of a bad beat. And with this one, 4.5 just seems like a fairly big number for a defense in Denver that is pretty talented. So I'm going to take Denver plus 4.5 there. Moving on, we have the Dallas Cowboys up against the New York Jets in the Meadowlands. Jets are 2.5-point dogs, 47.5-point total. I mean, guys, we saw with the New York Giants and this Dallas defense in Dallas that they can't stop anyone right now. I have a really hard time not taking a plus money line against them when they're on the road. As much as I think the Jets are in a bad spot, the Jets they just hit a perceived rock bottom in my mind. This past week, we saw all the drama with them in the locker room about players or the coaches yelling that the media room could hear and the drama. I think this is a week where the Jets, it's going to go one of two ways, right? They're going to completely quit or they're going to answer. And I think it's too early in the season to expect a team to completely quit. So give me the Jets money line here against a Dallas defense that hasn't stopped that many people at all. I think that they'll find a way to be in this game, and Aaron Glenn will have his guys going pretty well in this game. Moving on, we have the Tennessee Titans going down to Arizona. Cardinals are 8.5-point favorites here, total of 41.5. The model is taking the Cardinals minus 8.5, and the model is taking the under 41.5. I can't say either of those are wrong. Tennessee has looked god awful. I mean, there are all sorts of coaching questions about them at this point. Where is Callahan in over his head? Is it it's just not looking good there. 8.5 is too big a number for me to touch for the Cardinals, even against the Titans. It's very possible, but I feel like Arizona always finds a way to keep games closer than they should be. The under 41.5 is intriguing to me though, because I do think the Cardinals defense is really nasty. I really like a lot of the stuff that they do, but I'm just going to stay away from that one. Now, moving on, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going up to Seattle. Seattle are 3-point favorites here, total of 44.5. I want to take Bucks money line here. I really do. They're just coming back from some injuries right now, and that Seattle defense is nasty, but I don't know. I have a hard time fully buying into Seattle right now, just because I think they've done so much to protect Darnold to this point in the season, and I don't know that Darnold will against a Todd Bowles defense. I have some questions about Darnold's ability to keep up with it, and I think Baker can keep up with anybody, but Baker is playing hurt. They have no Mike Evans right now. They're missing their right tackle. They're missing their left guard. I believe Cody Mock is left guard. But they did get Tristan Wirfs back. They did get Chris Godwin back. Those are two big names that they got back. Ultimately, if this was in Tampa, I'd be hammering Tampa here. But in Seattle, they got to travel from the southeast coast of the United States to the northwest coast. That's a lot of travel. I'm going to stay away from this one, even though, man, I'm talking myself back into it. All right, give me Tampa money line. because they're coming off that loss against the Eagles last week where it felt like they could have won that game. I like that where Seattle is coming off a game that they won against Arizona, like a division game. I think Tampa is gonna take care of business here, and I'm gonna grab that Tampa money line on that, even if it's just a sprinkle. Okay, so moving on, we have the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels is back, going out to LA, take on the Chargers. Chargers are 2.5-point favorites, total of 48.5. I don't know what to think of this Chargers team without Joe Alt now, because they already lost Rashawn Slater earlier this year. So they're down both their offensive tackles. I need to see how they're going to work through that before I'm willing to bet much on them. And I really haven't trusted Washington at all this year. Like going back to preseason, even I thought they were a team that could kind of stumble compared to what they did last year. So I'm going to stay away from this one. Even the total, like I just don't know what Washington's capable of at this point offensively without their offensive tackles. Like Herbert looked rough last week against the New York Giants after Alt went down. So maybe he answers, maybe he doesn't, but there's too much uncertainty there for me to bet it. Moving on, we have the Detroit Lions going to Cincinnati. Cincinnati are 10-point dogs here, total of 48.5. The model likes the over 48.5. I kind of want to take the over 48.5 because I think Detroit's going to score points here. And I think Detroit plays a fast pace. So that's going to give Cincinnati a lot of opportunities with playmakers at receiver, and at running back. Chase Brown can break stuff off too. I kind of like the over here. I'm kind of with the model on that, but I'm gonna end up staying away from this one. I need to see something more from Cincinnati before I'm willing to bet it. They've had 2 straight rough weeks here with Jake Browning at quarterback, so I'm just going to avoid that one. Moving on, we have the New England Patriots going to Buffalo. The Bills are 8.5-point favorites here, total of 49.5. I'm going to take the Patriots plus 8.5 here. I think they're a tough team. I think Mike Vrabel is like the culture builder, right? Like he's coming in there, creating a tough atmosphere of guys who are going to play their hearts out. And like, I think that's something in a division game against Buffalo. Like, you always say a new coach who's building a new culture, you want to punch the king of the division in the mouth, right? This is Mike Vrabel's chance to do that and surprise people. I don't know if they're going to win the game. I would highly question whether they win the game, but keep it within less than a touchdown. Like, yeah, I think they're within 7 points here. So give me the Patriots plus 8.5. And then finally, last game on the slate, Monday Night Football. We've got Kansas City going to Jacksonville. Jacksonville are 3-point dogs here, total of 46.5. Kansas City just finally looked good for the first time all year last week. Jacksonville is kind of I don't know, I like a lot of what they're doing, but I'm not bought into them yet as like they're going to go out and beat KC in Jacksonville. But Jacksonville's historically a tough place to play, especially like this time of year. It's still warm out there. Like, I don't know. I could see Jacksonville covering this number. The model likes Jacksonville plus 3 and the under 46.5 here. I decided I'm going to stay away for now. Maybe I'll bet it come Monday night, but for right now, I don't see a lot of upside to betting this game, so I'm just going to stay away from it. That is all we got. We'll be back next week with a long form episode and the short form. So make sure to check that to come back and check that out when we have Jay back on the mic. But until then, don't sleep on the Raiders. We'll talk to you later.
And when you knock us down on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off. And then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down. And on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap. Before long, we're going to be the last one